Hi everybody, I hope you're doing well today. So today's Moravian reflection is from Jeremiah chapter 11 and it is verses 18 to 20. And we meet Jeremiah at a time where he has been hearing from God, listening to God, and then passing on messages to the nation of Israel. And not everybody is very happy about that. And as we meet Jeremiah in this short passage, he finds out, God lets him know that there are people plotting to kill him. And as I was sort of thinking about this passage, it sort of reminded me of those times where we maybe face opposition because of our faith. Those times where the way that we live, when it's countercultural, when it goes against the grain of the culture that we live in, where it stands out and makes people ask questions, maybe makes people agitated or upset. All those times where we see injustice and we choose to stand up and say, no, this isn't okay, at a time when everybody else is saying it's absolutely fine and you're making a big deal out of nothing. And in that time, we too can feel like we are surrounded by enemies. And I think Jeremiah has something really important to share with us, some keys that we can use when we are in those sorts of situations and circumstances. But before we get there, I think it's important to recognise that it is God who speaks to Jeremiah and lets him know about the danger he's in. And I think that really reminds us that God is sovereign, that he is in charge, that he's the supreme authority over all things. He knew what was happening, he knew what people were saying, and he let Jeremiah know about that. And so Jeremiah's response is really quick. It's just in verse 20. But there are 4 key things that he does when he's faced with these situations where he's in danger and he needs God's help. The first thing that he does is that he declares who God is. He says, O Lord of heaven's armies. He calls out to God using a name of God that he needs in the moment. He needs an army to defeat an enemy. And I think that's something that we can really take away. What is it that we need from God? And which of God's names do we need to use? If you're in a situation where you need healing, call out to God as your healer. If you need provision, call out to God as your provider. Call on his name. The second thing that Jeremiah does is that he reminds himself about God's character. So he talks about how God has righteous judgments and how he knows the deepest thoughts and secrets of people. And I think we might say it like this. We might say that God is holy. He always does what is good and right. We might say that he knows everything, past, present, and future. Nothing is hidden from him. Nothing is a surprise to him. Whatever situation we're in, God already knows about. The third thing even that Jeremiah does is that he actually asks for help. He doesn't assume that help is coming. He doesn't sort of just like praise God for who he is and declare out his names, but he actually asks for help. He says, God, let me see your vengeance against them, against those people who are his enemies. And I think we need to do that sometimes. Sometimes we forget that, of course, it's important that we are specific with our prayers. When we're talking to God and we're in difficult situations, ask him for what we actually need. Ask for help. And then fourthly, Jeremiah confesses his faith. So he basically says, I'm giving this to you, God. I'm committing this call to you. I'm trusting that you will come through for me. I'm not going to hold on to it and drag it about with me for the next 3 months. I'm just going to give it to you and I'm going to leave it with you because I know that you're faithful. I trust that you will do it. And I think when we are too in those difficult situations and circumstances, when we feel like there is an enemy all around us out to get us and to try and destroy us, we too can follow those 4 keys that Jeremiah shows us here. We can declare who God is. We can remind ourselves of his character. We can ask for help and we can declare out loud our faith. We can say, God, I am giving this to you because you are greater than the circumstances that I'm in. I hope you have a blessed day.